Hello everybody, and welcome back to Pokemon White. So, in the last part we essentially just did all the daily stuff that I usually do in this playthrough. More so for the post game anyway. But this time we actually did the second round against the Richest family. And once again I did more on-screen training at the big stadium in Small Court, and as you can see, yeah, now almost every single one of my team members is now at level 68. Meanwhile, my Crocodile and my Sigilyph are still at level 67. Now, as you'll see, even though I faced off against those guys over and over, yeah, it's once again taken me quite a while for me to get their levels to be raised up even higher and whatnot. But anyways, everyone. Now for the area that we're gonna be going to now. Now it is actually different. It is actually completely different. Depending on the version. Depending on the version that you are playing. Now, if you're playing Pokemon Black, now you would be entering a place called Black City. But since we're playing Pokemon White, the area that we're gonna be going into is called White Forest. Now, considering it is called a forest, yeah, you may be thinking it's gonna be a buttload of trees, right? Well, not for when you're playing on an emulator. Yeah, considering I'm playing this game on an emulator, yeah, these are about as much trees as you could possibly get. Yeah, this is what I'm currently dealing with. Yeah, this place would be more lively with trees and even grass and even some ponds. When you actually enter this place for the very first time. But considering I'm playing this game on an emulator, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to fully show off what it's like when this place is now fully lush. It will be fully lush with trees and whatnot. But anyways, as to the Pokemon that you can find in the White Forest, there's actually a whole lot of Pokemon that you can find here. Now, but however, I'll say this, every single one of these Pokemon that you find here, they are all gonna be at level 5. So you're probably not gonna be using them that much on your team, considering that you're probably not gonna be raising them until their levels that much. But as I said, there are definitely plenty of Pokemon that you can find here. Now when you're just walking through the grass, now the Pokemon you can find are Pidgey, both of the Nudorans, Oddish, Abra, Machamp, Bellsprout, Magnemite, Ghastly, Rhyhorn, Porygon, Togepi, Mareep, Hoppip, Elekid, Magby, Warple, Seedot, Routes, Solakov, Whismur, Azurill, Aron, Trapinch, Bagon, Starly, Shinx, Badoo, and Happiny. And if you are surfing around those little ponds, you may have a chance of encountering Wooper, Lotad, Surskit, and Corphish. Now how oh yeah, that's right. I guess I should also say now for the Black City. Now, when you are playing Pokemon Black, as you're going through Black City, now considering that it's an actual city, meaning that you don't exactly find any Pokemon there, but instead there are several trainers that you can battle against per day, and also the Pokemon they have are essentially the evolved forms are essentially the evolved forms of all of the Pokemon that we can find within the White Forest. Meaning that Pokemon White essentially has more version exclusives than Pokemon Black does. Yeah, a whole lot more. Yes, that's something. Oh yeah, and I guess what you're seeing here as well. Now within the White Forest, there are 2 trainers here. There we can actually have a triple battle against. And if you are going through Black City, there are also two trainers that will give you a that will treat you to 2 more rotation battles. So yeah, definitely fight these guys if you want to get more experience. But anyways, now as we're just gonna go for these battles, I guess I should go over how exactly does the White Forest and Black City work. Now, as I said, when you enter the forest/city for the very first time, now when you enter the forest/city for the very first time, the total number of residents is actually determined by the number of days that you took in order for you to be able to get there in the first place. And also, the number of residents that can show up can be between 0 slash which is the lowest occupancy, and a 10, which is the maximum. And now, as for the Pokemon that we can find within the White Forest, now only some Pokemon will show up. It essentially is determined by as for the Pokemon that do show up in White Forest, they are essentially determined by which sort of resident is currently at the forest at the time. So essentially, if you want to be able to catch every single one of these Pokemon here, then let's just say you need to get incredibly lucky. Yeah, and hope that the resident that shows up is actually the one that you need to show up in order for you to be able to get. In order for you to be able to be able to get them. Then as for Black City, now when you enter the city for the first time, the number of trainers is determined by the number of days that once again it takes you to reach it. But however, it actually decreases as time goes by. And also, the number of overall residents can vary between 12, and which residents only exist at the Pokemon Center and the gates, and 45. Now, only 12 of them being trainers at the maximum. Now, and also, within the city as well. Now, if you want to get very valuable items, like say for example, more evolution items, then Black City can actually give you more of those. But however, just like with the wild encounters in a White Forest, yeah, you need to have certain people actually be in the city if you want to be able to get said evolution item to begin with. So yeah, let's just say, yeah, it is essentially a bit random for both White Forest and Black City. Yeah, hence why they actually made the big change. Hence why they actually made a big change for when we got to the sequels. Yeah, essentially, yeah, the sequels no longer have like randomness to them, when you actually enter the forest for the first time and whatnot. Both of the places do hold something major that can actually help you a lot if you want to get your Pokemon more stronger. Yeah, essentially, if you want to get your Pokemon higher than at least level 70. Yeah, essentially, yeah, if you want to get your Pokemon to at least be higher than level 70. Yeah, which is why we're probably not going to be able to do that much, you know, within the prequels, considering, yeah, the only majority of Pokemon I'm going to be fighting against are either between level 60s and 70s for the most part. But anyways, now that we're done with White Forest, yeah, that is essentially everything that I can really do for White Forest. Now, I'm actually going to go back to the Pokemon League. But not to enter it yet. Yeah, it's still not the right time for me to go through it. For me to go through the Pokemon League again. Yeah, not just yet. But instead, I'm actually gonna go back to the Victory. But I'm actually gonna go back to the Victory Road, because if you recall, the last time we saw Cheren. Yeah, he said that he was going to do some training here. And considering that my team has definitely got more stronger since our last encounter with him, I feel like now it is the right time for us to be able to find and to get ourselves into at least one more battle against him. Oh yeah, as you'll see. Yeah, Cheren is really reflecting. He's essentially reflecting his journey, and to help him out with his development. Here is a Marshal. From Marshal. My mentor told me you were here. So I came to see. I bet you did. Listen. Even if you lose in battle, if you surpass once you've done before, as you have bested yourself. Take the opportunity of a battle. Until look at your opponent. Look at the Pokemon involved. Yep. And look at she yourself. Are those Alder's words? Maybe, but I'm borrowing them. I bet you are. What I want are battles with trainers who believe in themselves, like that. When I'm mixing up, with a trainer, like that, both my Pokemon and I get even stronger. Well then, I'll be waiting for your challenge into the Pokemon League. Yes, indeed. We will be seeing you later, Marshal. I guess that's that. Yep. Okay, Ditto. Accept this Pokemon battle. Yes, indeed, we shall. Well, you say accept, even though you essentially make us battle anyway. But anyways, everyone, now it's time for one more battle against Cheren. And this time, he's actually got himself a full team this time. So yeah, let's just say we are probably going to be here a lot longer this time. As you'll see, he's definitely got his team a lot more stronger since last time too. Now starting off with a Slifer. Now Slifer has the moves Fang Out, Night Slash, Shadow Claw, and Aerial Ace. and it is holding the citrus berry. And then, as for his starter Pokemon, if you are fighting his superior, it will have Leaf Storm, Coil, a Gigantale, and a Leaf Blade. And if you are fighting his Emboar, it will have Flare Blitz, Head Smash, Brick Break, and Wild Charge. And if you are fighting Samurott, it will have Hydro Pump, Aqua Jet, Blizzard, and X-Scissor. Now, another big difference when it comes to these three starters, yeah, as you may have saw, all three of these starters are now holding the Focus Sash item. Which means that you're probably not going to be able to knock it out within just one. Yeah, you almost likely are not going to be able to knock it out within just one attack, really. So yeah. But anyways, now as for one of his new Pokemon, that being a Haxorus. Now it has to move. Now it has the ability for Rivalry. And it has the moves, Outrage, Rock Slide, X-Scissor, and Surf. And also this Haxorus is also holding the Dragon Gem item. Yeah, which means if it could get off at least one Outrage, yeah, it will definitely do. Yeah, it will definitely do even more damage. So yeah, essentially just be on the lookout for that. And unfortunately, my Zekrom is now faster than a freaking Haxorus. Honestly, I had a feeling that was going to be the case. Okay, Nav1 now. As for his other new Pokemon, that being a Gigalith. Now, just like with all the other Gigaliths and Boldors we've seen, it has the ability Sturdy, and it has Stone Edge, Stealth Rock, Earthquake, and Giga. It also has some Giga Impact, and it is now the Pokemon that is holding the leftovers item. And then as for his monkeys, all three of them have the same moves, that being a Brick Break, Payback, and a Rock Slide. But Semi-Sage will have Energy Ball. Semi-Seer will have Flamethrower, and his Semi-Pour will have Surf. And they are once again holding the item that essentially boosts their elemental moves. Yeah. And then as for his Unpheasant, it has Air Slash, Quick Attack, Facade, and a U-turn. And it is once again, I believe it is holding. Now I think Unpheasant was holding the Scope Lens before. But if not, then this right here the first time that we've seen the Unpheasant actually hold that item. Oh yeah, and with the fact that it still has Quick Attack on it, like really, like that's the move that you really want to keep Unpheasant with. Yeah, I guess you want to make sure you want to have at least one move that can at least KO the opponent a lot more quicker, I guess. But at the same time, I'm just saying, yeah, you would think that you want to save that slot for a much more powerful move, but or even a move that can at least boost up its stats, maybe. Yeah, but I guess they just didn't want to bother, I guess. Okay, and now with this last Psychic, this Unpheasant should be down and out. And there we go. And with that, we have defeated Cheren once again. Excellent day. I'll keep battling. I'll keep battling many trainers and Pokemon are like this. And if I can learn what kind of person I am, it will open up my path. I'm sure this path will lead me to become the person I'm meant to be. And it actually does within the sequels. Pokemon will always be with you and me as we go down our own paths. Our important friends, Pokemon. Yeah, Cheren has definitely developed as the game went on, eh? But anyways, everyone, now that we're done with that, I guess what I'm trying to say about Cheren now is that once you have gone through that dialogue with Marshal and Cheren, and also go through that battle that we just had with him. Now we can actually have another battle with Cheren once per day. Yeah, which means, of course, yeah. Now, if we want to get our team more stronger, now we can do that. And that is also where I'm probably going to be doing even more on-screen training. Yeah. If you've seen that my team has gotten more stronger in terms of levels, yeah, then you know why. And now, as you saw, yeah, I decided to take off the expert band off Zekrom. Well, that's because I don't want him to be at his strongest right now. Considering, yeah, I feel like now is the right time for us to deal with that, monster that was said to be in the legend of Lankinosa. So yeah, now I definitely feel like my team has definitely got more strong enough for me to be able to take that beast on. But anyways, now we're gonna go through over here so that we can try and find our ways to be able to encounter that monster. Alright, what you saw there, we got ourselves a revive. Oh, and this item right here. And it is the TM Ice Beam! Yeah, just like Flamethrower, Earthquake, and friggin', and also Flamethrower, we have to wait until friggin' post-game in order for us to get some really good moves. And speaking of Ice Beam, I actually want to teach it to one of my Pokemon. And that being the only one that can learn it. Yeah, that of course would be Sigilyph. Now, I've been meaning to teach Sigilyph this move for quite a long while, but since we had to wait up until this point for me to be able to learn it, for me to be able to not only find it, so yeah, I was definitely thinking that I wanted to, yeah, I definitely wanted my Sigilyph to be able to at least have one move that can at least handle more type coverage and whatnot. Yeah, and I feel like at this point as well, yeah, Psybeam probably would not have been as much helpful to us as you would think at this point. So, considering that we are going to be dealing with even more stronger trainers, very soon enough. That of course, then I obviously want to show off. That I want to be able to have myself a chance of actually defeating them and whatnot. But anyways, now if we want to find the thing that we can go to in order for us to be able to encounter the monster in the giant chasm. Now, as you can see, we essentially have to go. All around. Now we essentially have to go all around the forest. Until we have reached the center of this place. Yeah, and I'm also trying to make sure that I can possibly try to get every item here because, yeah, considering that there are so many ledges that we can go to, that we can jump over to, yeah, that we can jump over, meaning that I'm probably most likely will be missing out some stuff. Yeah. But thankfully we did not miss them. Yeah, that being the TM for Psyshock. So yeah, now for any psychics, that you may have, now you can teach them that move. And unfortunately, I missed out the iron that was back there. Crap. Well, hopefully, oh shoot. Actually, I'm thinking. Yeah, I was thinking if I want to go back there to get that item again. Yeah, but I feel like I want to get that later. But anyways, now I believe. Oh yeah, it is. Oh yeah, that's right. It is down that way. Yeah, once again, I'm trying to be sure that I don't get myself lost. And now watch what happens when we get to the center. You hear that? And then a blizzard actually shows up for some odd reason. And it turns the whole chasm into a freaking snow pile. But thankfully, the snow pile is how you'll be able to get yourself access to this cave, which contains the Pokemon that caused that blizzard, aka the monster of Lacanosa. So we're gonna be taking on this beast for the next part. And so until then, I'll see you guys next time.